Children, yeah, because then children become the performers for the parent because the parent is wanting the child to be the best in soccer or the best in this. And so the child becomes performer and then performer. And it's so hard in their adult life because they're performing and not really knowing who they are or what they want. Right. And they get into relationships and there they also do this performance.
Right. Welcome to the Exit Strategy, your no bullshit guide to divorce with the experienced attorneys from New Direction Family Law. Unfiltered discussions to help you move from victim to victorious and from bitter to better.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever time you're listening. I'm Elizabeth Stephenson, and I'm with New Direction Family Law. And I have my partner,
Sarah Hink, another attorney and partner in New Direction Family Law. And we also have associate attorney Tyler Kaestner on this one. Say hello.
Hello. Hi, Tyler.
And then we have another fabulous guest today. I'm going to let Elizabeth introduce her because they're friends.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think Fauzia and I have known each other for years, I think. But you came to me a few months ago and said, I have this book coming out. And I said, you need to be on our podcast. And here you are.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about you and what your book is about. And then we'll just start into a conversation about how it all ties into separation and divorce.
Yes, of course. My name is Fauzia Faizi Shah, and I graduated from the University of South Carolina in 1987, giving away my age. And I have been in mental health ever since. And I've been in private practice. I worked with psychiatric hospitals, outpatient, inpatient, worked with children, adult population, and eventually I have a YouTube channel, have my website, but I eventually decided I was going to do a book. So it's on complex PTSD in relations to narcissistic personality disorder.
Which we never come in contact with.
Never
in separation and divorce.
But unfortunately, the truth is we come to it a lot. And obviously, it's something that you have a lot of experience with in your practice.
Yeah.
So give us a little, general understanding of narcissism and how it relates to PTSD.
Yeah. Well, especially when you guys are working with clients, how to recognize a narcissist? Well, they're very self-centered, very grandiose, have a sense of entitlement, and a lack of empathy. Mm-hmm. So let's just say somebody comes to your office and says, she's this, she's this, she's this, or he's this, he's this, he's this. She's the villain and he's the victim. And that is the first thing that you would notice, that a lot of trauma dumping and a lot of talking about, how they have been railroaded into this relationship and how, she's taken advantage of him and how he's the victim. So when you hear that, go ahead and just kind of like say, okay. So
let me ask you this. Wouldn't all of us exhibit some of those things some of the time? I mean, I can be grandiose and I can be self-centered, but I find it's more, they never take, nothing is ever their fault for the most part. That there is, as you say, I don't know if that's where the empathy comes in or not, but they can't see anything that they've done wrong. It's always the other person.
It's always, yes. And, they will gaslight. They will gaslight the attorneys.
Well, tell me, everybody says that word. What does that mean?
What that means is that changing your reality. In other words, if you say that I saw the lights flickering, for example, and I say, I didn't see that. Are you okay? Is something going on with you? And so changing your reality to be like mine. Mm-hmm. And that goes on a lot with the narcissist. They will do that even with attorneys. They will even say, we didn't say, I didn't tell you that. Right. But I remember, so anyways, so the gaslight, the trauma bond.
And what does that mean?
Trauma bond is when all of a sudden, when they first meet you or giving you gifts, bringing flowers, just showing up at any time that you wanted them to show up. It's just love bombing, like available at all times, taking you out to dinner. But that's just the initial phase.
Right.
After 3, 4, 5 months later, for example, if you said, I just can't go out tonight. I'm just really very busy because I've got my family, you know, my mother's invited me. Oh, I've been doing all these things for you, and now you don't have time for me. And so
Put your family first.
guilt tripping, manipulating, you know, all that stuff.
And I'm sure people listening to this, just like me right now, going, "Oh yeah, I've heard that."
And then that's when they like create that divide between you and your family, you and your friends. They say, well, those people aren't good, and you need to be in this relationship.
Well, that's
with
when
me, and,
you were
like,
talking
building
about
walls.
domestic violence and sort of
Domestic violence.
isolating and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yes, and so that's when the manipulation starts, guilt tripping. So if the person starts to say, well, setting some boundaries with them, that's when you're going to start to see them starting to crack. And that's when they get very nervous that so they're going to strength shame you. Mm-hmm. If you show some strength, they're going to shame you for that strength. And so the next thing you know, okay, well then if you're a weaker person, you may fall back in that trap and say, well, you know, maybe I'm the wrong one, because that's exactly what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
You make conditioned to think that way. Right.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of domestic violence can be also verbal, emotional, sexual, physical. And most people end up staying in these relationships till it gets to the point where it starts to affect somebody's health, or it starts to show up with their children.
Children is when I see when a lot of times that's the last straw that they'll take.
Yeah.
Like, you can do it to me all you want to. I'm okay, but don't mess with my kids.
Right.
It's that
Exactly.
cycle
So-
of abuse, and like the control. They want the control. So if they start to lose control, then they change the dynamic and start the manipulation again and take away finances or take away access to help.
Correct.
And so then you're stuck in the cycle, and like leaving's the scariest part.
Yeah, and that's the psychological. So it's called the narcissistic psychological abuse. Narcissistic abuse, and that is with love bombing, then trauma bonding, then manipulation, then exploitation, and then discarding. And but if you discard, oh no, they're going to start the love bombing all over again.
Yeah.
So it's going to call the narcissistic abuse cycle. So yeah.
So what's your advice to women who are going, okay, I've had it. How do you extricate yourself and your children safely from that relationship?
Well, narcissism is not just with women, with men, but women too. So it's both. Yeah, you can have. There's covert narcissist and grandiose narcissist and malignant and communal and all that. But here's what I would say to lawyers that work with these types of individuals is that make sure that they get evaluated by a very seasoned clinician who can actually see that, because ultimately, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. So obviously, I'm always focused on the kids and what's best for the kids. And so getting these two evaluated is so important, both mother and the father, because you want to know what's best for the kids, and you want to make sure that even if your client is the narcissist, they're not going to stay in treatment. They will just do it, temporarily.
Well, if there's a court order that says they stay in treatment, they'll stay in treatment.
It makes them look good. That's one reason they'll do it.
So I've heard that like a narcissist can sometimes like trick these tests or something like that when they're being evaluated. They know because they think they're so smart, they're gonna outsmart the therapist.
Well, that's what a client will tell you every time. Every time, say there's no reason to do that. He knows how to manipulate the system, and he's not that smart. That's what I generally
But
say.
sometimes I read these psych evaluations, and I'm like, why does this person seem normal? I promise you, they are not normal. And I know that we have clients that read that too, and their like ex-spouses get a psychological evaluation.
Right, I agree.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. So that's a good point, but if you're seasoned,
I agree.
if you've
Know what you're
really
doing.
been,
So there are ways to unravel that or identify that.
very quickly.
Yes.
Very quickly. For a session, you know what's going on, but then you play along. I mean, I shouldn't say that. you need to cut that.
That's how you get in, though, right? Like, how do you get them to trust you?
Yeah, and let them think they're the smartest person in the room.
Because you have to engage them, right?
Right.
So you have to play along with that to help them finally, but they won't stay in therapy, but for evaluation purposes, you know, when I do a report for the court, I write down my observations and my recommendations. And so that is what I would go, that this person is quite focused on their own self and their own needs and their own wants. And it could be a detrimental to the child in this case, because the child really needs more focus on them and their needs and wants. So something like that, you know, you word it to where the judge can then make a decision. But if your client is a narcissist, that's going to be a tough one, Elizabeth.
Right. I agree. I agree. But I think that I've had a case that's years and years in the making, and the opposing party is a narcissist, and the judge, even after all these years, gives chance after chance after chance, and they're just not going to. And you're right, he won't stay in, you know, that parent will not stay in therapy.
Narcissists are not going to stay in therapy,
Right.
and then they will come into therapy because they want to have you tell them how to deal
With the other
how to get her back into the relationship, because he really liked her or she really liked him the way he used to be. So when she gains her strength and she starts to, you know, regain her confidence and she wants to do her own thing or get a full-time job, that's when the strength shaming starts to happen. And, you know, it's like putting her down, making comments about, like I've got one case I'm working with. The husband tells the wife how ugly she is and how he can't stand to look at her. And he doesn't understand how she's going to get this PhD and then stand on her feet, things like that.
That baby better be his ex-wife soon.
I'm working with her to hopefully to get her.
So what would you say? Because judges are always going to give each parent an opportunity, unless there's some abuse going on, and sometimes even then, they're going to give them an opportunity to fail. They're going to say, you have a right to have your child. We're going to give you this, you know, give you a chance. So what is, I mean, is there a way to not necessarily change that person, or what would you suggest that we could say to a judge, if you're going to do that, judge, here's what needs to be in place for this person who's been diagnosed with this to help them be able to be a better parent?
Right. So now we are really, in our profession, we're really coming out and strongly now talking about the narcissistic personality disorder because it is really a public health issue. So what you could tell the judge is that Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so has some serious issues that needs to be addressed in therapy. And if it's children's visitations, I would definitely say supervised visitations. And I know that recently with the clients that I'm working with, it's very interesting that the judges are actually giving verdicts pro-men, even when a man has not been in the child's life for years.
That's what I'm saying. They'll give them the opportunity.
And all of a sudden he shows up. All of a sudden he shows up and says, "I want to play daddy today, and I would like to have my daughter visit with me," like even asking for custody all of a sudden. And the judges are saying, yeah, unsupervised visitations. And
they don't give supervised visitation.
It's very hard to get supervised
Hardly
visitation.
ever.
Really?
Yes. It is really, I mean,
That's scary.
I know. So a lot of times it's like what I have to tell, you know, the parent who's doing the parenting is, you got to do this, you got to make them go, and then they come back to you. You can make, you know, you're there. They'll make you can be their strength, but they got to go.
It's really learning how to co-parent with a narcissist, which is really difficult to do.
Very difficult.
I don't think
Because
you
we
can
can't-
co-parent with
because
a narcissist.
We can't.
You can't.
We can't
can.
take the person out. We can't like remove them from this earth, you know. And it's hard because, you know, we have those cases where there's a narcissist on the other side, and the attorney on the other side, you know, kind of they just take that and run with it, right? There's nothing wrong with this person. You can't even get a psych evaluation because there's nothing that you can put on paper to really highlight to a judge to say this person has serious mental health issues.
Right.
If they're just an asshole
Oh,
narcissist. I'm
Right.
sorry, they are. Like when you can tell when you're in the case day to day that every action and everything they're doing is not because they think it's for the children.
It's very calculated.
It's calculated to get against the other spouse, ex-spouse, to
Right.
make them look bad, make them look good.
Correct.
Very calculated, very true.
And it's
Yes.
hard. It's hard to get that in front of the judge who sees them for 2 hours to see that.
Hi there, it's Cam with New Direction Family Law. And if you find yourself facing or considering separation and divorce, you may realize that determining who gets what property can be one of the more complicated and confusing issues. It's so important that you're represented by an experienced family law attorney who knows marital property law and will advocate for your best interest. New Direction Family Law has a combined 80 years of experience protecting the rights of our clients and their assets. When an amicable arrangement can't be reached, we aggressively advocate, we support, and we educate our clients to achieve the best possible outcomes. When you're ready, schedule an initial consultation by calling 919-719-3470 on our website at newdirectionfamilylaw.com or click the link in the episode description. We've got your assets covered.
One of my strategies that I've started telling parents is you need to get your children to therapy because we can't change him. But you can get your child to therapy and help them gain skills to deal with him
Yes.
or her.
Right.
You know, and that's the best you can do sometimes.
Yeah. And one of the things that you can tell the judge is this, that judge, from a developmental standpoint, the child needs extracurricular activities. They need to be focused on their schools. They need to be focused on relationships, their identity, their independence, their autonomy. This is imperative for this child to have this. So they cannot be redirected towards this parent's need to be the center of their child's life. It needs to be the other way around. So, you know, you can explain that to the judge and say, focusing on what the child needs, and then help the judge see that this parent may not be able to provide that for the kid, but whereas the mother is more capable of providing those things for the child.
Well, yeah, and I think that now we started calling it a parenting. It's like a parenting capacity evaluation. Not necessarily a psychological eval, but more what is their capacity to parent. And I think that's more of what you're talking about.
Exactly, and that's what I do when I've gone to court. I have really met with both the parents, but I also meet with the child because I want to know what's going on with the child and what do they want. And so I find myself as an advocate for the child. I mean, you know, that's my, that's what I studied and practiced pretty much. And so going to the judge and saying, you know, this is what is happening and this is what the child needs. I'll give you all an example that actually there's this one husband who is, the children are with the mother who's taking care of the kids. And he was at some kind of a charity event. And he got up and, typical narcissistic pouncing, you know, went up and they said, well, how much money are you going to give to the charity? 1 million. Okay, so he then shows up in court. And let me tell you what he told the judge. I can't afford food. I can't afford I can't afford it. And he was like, whoa, okay. I mean,
But it's all about appearance, basically.
Yeah, it's all about the appearance. And that, you know, that lack of empathy, I think, is really dangerous. And like, how does that affect children when their parent is unable to empathize with them?
Oh, wow.
Or even see the parent empathize with another third party or their mother or father. Like,
Right. Children, because then children become the performers for the parent because the parent is wanting the child to be the best in soccer or the best in this. And so the child becomes performer and then performer. And it's so hard in their adult life because they're performing and not really knowing who they are or what they want.
Right.
And they get into relationships and there they also do this performance.
Right.
And you see that with the narcissistic parents who do that with their kids. And it's just so heartbreaking because I work with these people and it's so imperative how we protect the kids with this situation. I know I keep saying the kids because for me, it's really important to protect those little ones. They're the next generation.
Yeah.
And we
I
have to
agree.
take
I think
care
just
of
like
them.
normalizing mental health treatment. And so you can unpack this trauma later, my love. Like
Exactly.
you're gonna have some stuff to deal with, and you're 6 years old, 12 years old. You don't really have the capabilities to really unpack it now. But when you're 30 and having these failed relationships, and you're like, what? Why am I not happy? You might have to talk about this.
Yeah, and the other part of it is the attachment style. So when they're growing up in this, so you have to really help the judge see that the right thing is to what is going to happen to this particular child as an adult if they are going to be raised or be influenced by this particular parent who is a narcissist. He could be a covert narcissist. And so I guess it's educating the judge.
It is, absolutely. For
right.
sure.
Yeah. So,
because like they're supposed to be, putting the child first and the polar star.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't. It's not about the parent and what you're going through. It's what is this child going through. And that's where we lose our focus a lot of time, or some people lose their focus, especially in litigation.
Yeah,
Right.
because the narcissist isn't going to say nice things about the other parent either.
Never.
Never. So then everyone's just hurling, accusations against the other.
Yeah.
And that's what the judge is hearing. And it's kind of like to take a pause and have a professional come in, a neutral third party.
Correct.
Right.
And say, let me really break it down for you, these
Right.
personalities and how it's
Right.
affecting the children.
exactly.
Right.
And when you get a narcissist in a custody battle or even in a divorce case where they're looking to take the house, take the everything, and kind of make her look like she is or
The crazy
he is
one.
the crazy one, right? So you have to really pay attention to what the timeline that he started working on. He knew what he was going to be when he was going to discard her. So you got to look at that timeline. And it's very important. And then you will know, and then you can ask your client, so what was happening at this time with you?
Yeah.
And she can say, well, half of the time I was so depressed because he was doing this
and this, calling names and doing that.
And sometimes, in these type of relationships, you would find the other partner relying on alcohol or drugs or prescription medications. And you have to kind of see that the one who's suffering is, one is suffering and the other one is thriving. That right there should be a big
Right. And a lot of times, if they are using alcohol or prescription drugs, it is one just coping just to get through the day, and it's situational. They're not
Yes.
crazy. They're not
No.
going to be like this.
No.
And there's another thing that
Not
you
at
need
all.
to educate
Living with
the
that
judge
person.
on.
Right.
Living
Right.
with the person is driving them crazy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Depression is not crazy.
Right.
Bipolar is not crazy. I mean, these mental health diagnoses, they're not crazy.
Well, judges have gotten
It's
better
just-
about those. I mean, those sorts of things. I think. Would you say?
The more we normalize it in everyday life, I think the better it will
Yeah,
be. 'Cause
right.
that's our judges are just normal people, really, when it comes down to it.
Right.
Right.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, because it's such a, when I say this is like domestic violence is really a public health issue because we have mental illness is on the rise, depression is on the rise, anxiety is on the rise. Then physical problems are on the rise. And that's because that's what happens when people don't deal with the pain that they're carrying because of this violence that may be emotional violence. It could be verbal violence.
Right, I
It could
agree.
be, right. So, the person who this is being directed at may have grown up in a domestic violence environment at home.
Yeah.
So they got into this relationship because it felt home.
Yeah, that's something I talk about with my clients.
I do too all the time. It's like I look at them and go, this is not normal. This isn't normal.
Yeah.
But then it's like they don't because it is their normal.
Or that first reaction where like they don't want to separate because they have young children. And it's like just that's what they don't want to do because the children. I'm like, well, they're growing up and seeing your demonstration of what a relationship is
like.
and that's
Yeah.
not,
Right.
you don't want that for your children, do
Right.
you? You're making a good decision.
Right.
You're making a strong decision.
Right.
Or
I
we'll see the
know.
decision be made, and then in the days, the weeks, the months after that, it's slowly unraveling where they're just now piecing it together, all those things happened.
And the other part of it is that's so important that a lot of people don't talk about it, but I do want to talk about this thing. What happens is when someone that grows up in an abusive home where there's a narcissistic parent, that child's nervous system gets dysregulated.
Absolutely.
So it becomes neurobiological. Okay? That means that their attachment style is insecure. It can be, avoidant attachment, or it could be disorganized attachment, which is the worst, or anxious attachment. And so now the nervous system is dysregulated because the child had unpredictable, inconsistent parents. So they grow up in survival mode. And they get into these relationships that are also dysregulating, keeps the nervous system dysregulated. And so when they come to you, I guess it would be important to kind of know a little bit about their family background.
Absolutely.
So you have to kind of look at that component. That is the physical piece to this is so important. Is the neurobiology of this person and their the nervous system, and that should be a clue that this person grew up with a narcissist and now they are married to a narcissist. I mean, really, it's 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
Right. No, anybody who walks in our office, I think every attorney will say, nothing against you, you're not crazy, but you need to get a therapist because divorce and separation is just hard all by itself. You add in that and this and that, then it makes it triply hard, and you need
with children.
Right. And a lot of times, people will come to us and they want an initial consult, but they're not ready to separate, which I think sometimes is good. And then they can retain us, and it may take us 3 or 4 months to even let the other party know that we're involved, because we can help get you resources. We can help sort of put a strategy in place and let you build up that strength, sort of, and then you can have that conversation, or we can have that conversation about, I'm ready to leave.
Right. And the therapist can help and step in and stop that cycle of those relationships, because people will leave a relationship with a narcissist, like you said, and then
just go to another
end
one.
up with another one. And we see that. We see
Right.
that as the lawyers, because they'll have custody ongoing with their prior narcissist.
Right.
And then they get a new husband or new wife. Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, oh, geez.
And so do you ever get people that come in and women, they're going through the divorce thing, and then the next thing you know, I've been talking to him and I think we're going to try to work it out and I'm going to go back.
Absolutely.
Sure. But that's where the trauma bond is.
Right. I agree.
So how do we help support breaking that cycle? You talked about building the strength and so forth. Is what can we be doing to
That's
support
where
that?
you have to get the therapist
You gotta get him to a
because
therapist.
The therapist is going to help them with the breaking the trauma bond, because they're hoping that this person, and so there's another key thing here. The one that is trauma bonded by the narcissist, because they do that, like intermittent reinforcement. Okay. So the one who is trauma bonded, they're hoping, they hope for that one day, if I keep doing this, one little change, they will give me all the love and affection that I want. It ain't going to happen.
Right.
No, it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
Not going to happen. No, not going to happen.
But they can't. But that's a lot. They can't do that by themselves. I don't think.
No.
So you got to get them to a therapist.
Yeah, and I'm pretty
Yes,
direct. If my clients do that,
Absolutely.
I will leave them with some parting words.
Good.
Absolutely.
I do not just let them go off
Good,
without hearing
good.
my own personal opinion. But
Right, exactly.
as an
Do you see what
attorney,
this is? Like,
yeah.
Right. And sometimes you got to swing it back to always focus on the children. This is like Sarah said. I always say this is not the relationship you want your children to grow up thinking that's what it's like. So if you can focus back on the kids, a lot of time you can help them bring them around. And if you don't get help, this is what's going to happen, and that's helpful sometimes.
Yeah, and even in therapy too, I have people that I work with, and it's trauma bond is so hard to break. I mean, I've got people who will come and I'm separated, and then the next thing I know, they're going
Back together. Yes.
back together.
Yeah.
And all the description that they give is a narcissist. And I know that I hear people saying, well, you know, this word is being used so much, but y'all don't have any idea how much there is of them out there.
Yeah, why is that? Are there more narcissists now? Or are they just being diagnosed now? Like,
I think they're just being diagnosed more now.
yeah, are they just like breeding?
None of the narcissists went to get diagnosed.
Yeah, like
They've always been there. It's just that they're being diagnosed. We're catching up, you know.
is it just like the age that we are in? Just
it supports it and promotes it. So.
probably because the age of like instant gratification.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. And to social media, that's great for narcissists, right?
Absolutely.
Like how many likes am I
They
going
get
to
all
get? Look
this
at my life.
information back.
Yeah. So I don't know. I go back and forth. Just more diagnosis or just more narcissists? I don't know.
Does it really matter? No.
I don't know.
No. So how do people get in? So you have a private practice, correct?
I work for a company, and I do telehealth.
Okay. And
Yes.
so if somebody is listening to this and they're going, oh my God, I need help.
Yeah.
And I mean, how could they get in touch with
They
you?
can definitely get in touch with me. I have my YouTube channel, but then I have my website, and they can also reach me.
Okay.
You want me to give my number?
We'll put it
We'll
up.
put the
Yeah, we'll put all your
website,
contact
yeah.
number up.
Your YouTube, all linked on this
podcast,
podcast. If you're listening, you
absolutely.
can check
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and
can
then your
check,
book.
and they can-
And then you got
Yeah, you had your book.
Let me see your book.
Okay. Well, it's,
Yeah, it's not finished yet.
Yeah, it's not finished yet.
The
But,
first copy, right?
Yeah, the first copy.
Yeah.
But it's
but it's gonna.
Breath,
Yeah, we're
Being,
gonna.
and Body.
Yeah.
Right. And so this has not hit the.
It's not hit the
bookshelves yet, but it will.
yet. It will.
And is it about narcissism and how to deal with that and
it's-
heal yourself?
Yes, with complex PTSD and also narcissistic
Okay.
personality. Really, I don't think you can have complex PTSD without a narcissist.
Yeah, and people don't understand you get PTSD from relationships,
Yeah.
not like war, like not just war. Like you think of all
correct.
these,
But
you know,
complex.
yeah.
because- yeah. So complex is, and this is good for you guys to know, but you may probably know it already. But complex makes it more complex PTSD because it is something like physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, neglect, emotional abuse happens frequently over a long period of time.
repetitive.
Right.
Repetitive, right. And frequently. So somebody can grow up and be married to someone and 5 years, 3 years, 10 years, 20 years, and all this was going on. They suffer from complex PTSD. Your work environment, your job, your
Right.
supervisor
Right.
can also abuse you verbally, emotionally. So you can suffer from complex PTSD as a result of that.
Your parents.
And your parents, for sure.
Yeah.
Caregivers and parents as a little kid. And most of the time you will find, you know, what happened here is happening here.
Absolutely.
And it's going to continue to happen unless you change the pattern. And, you know,
That's right.
I mean,
Boundaries, all of that.
right.
Oh, and thank you.
Fuzzy's going, don't get me started.
Don't get me started on boundaries. Build those walls.
So that's another giveaway with the narcissist. No, they cannot stand boundaries.
No.
They will break your boundaries because they have to be in control.
Right.
Right.
So
I think that's the
yeah.
biggest thing
Yeah.
you see in narcissists is just the control.
And that's what we can do as attorneys is help build those boundaries,
Boundaries
with
for
court
them.
orders,
Correct.
making them communicate through certain mechanisms, getting a parenting coordinator involved. So
Right.
there's a third party saying, I
Don't
can
do
see through
that.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's taking away some of that control.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
And you know, you may have a client who really doesn't have very good verbal skills because they have been damaged so badly that their nervous system is so dysregulated that they just can't express
themselves.
anymore.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
have to kind of see that to, okay, you know what, this person is really deeply injured.
Yeah.
And maybe I need to kind of help bring what they want to say, help
Advocate
them
for them.
That's what
Yeah.
we do is advocate for them.
advocate
Yes.
for them.
And then
yeah.
be their shield from that narcissist person.
Yeah.
Like, send all contact to me. Direct
That's
all
what
that
I say.
anger
You know,
to
you
me.
don't have to talk
Yeah,
to him.
no.
I could be the bitch. You could have him come
Tyler's
to
probably
me.
like running through cases we have right now of like showing all of these signs.
They are.
And
It's
that's like,
crazy.
you know, talk to a therapist about how to get out of a relationship.
Right.
You know, listen to these podcast information of how to avoid relationships
Right.
with narcissists, not to enter into them.
Right. Take care of your own mental health.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And reach out to a professional like Fauzia, you know,
Yeah.
that can help you work through that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, and especially, you know, educating the judge. I mean, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, that's
What do we do with the
perfectly
judge?
fine. It's like Sarah said, they're just people. I mean, we're not being derogatory against them, but
No.
and they have 40 people on their docket a day.
They might be a narcissist too, though.
You know, don't get me started.
Absolutely. Yes.
They're well-meaning, but they're not inclined medically and diagnostically. Yeah.
Let's don't go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch out for the love bombs.
And ain't that some shit?
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to leave us a review. You can visit us online at newdirectionfamilylaw.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at the Exit Strategy _podcast, or email us at exitstrategy@newdirectionfamilylaw.com. We'll be back next week with more no bullshit content about life, divorce, parenting, relationships, and everything in between.